Welcome back to Inside Food Factory. Today's story is one you may never have imagined. Each year in Indonesia, over 10,000 tons of live snakes are farmed, processed, and consumed. What was once a symbol of fear is now fueling a supply chain that supports more than 175,000 jobs. And here's the staggering part. While snake meat is marketed as a protein-rich delicacy, the real profits come from their skin and venom. A single luxury snakeskin handbag can fetch over $4,000, and just 1 liter of venom can be valued at more than $100,000 in pharmaceutical research. But here's the gap that may surprise you. Despite the fact that snakes exist across Asia, Africa, and South America, Indonesia dominates the global trade, while countries with even larger snake populations barely appear in export statistics. Why? The answer lies in how Indonesia has turned venomous predators into an organized, science-backed farming system. So how exactly do farmers keep such dangerous animals under control? And how do they balance profit with safety, culture, and ethics? Let's step inside the enclosures to see how venomous predators are managed with precision and care. Part 1. Farming venomous predators. Science, safety, and survival. Inside Indonesia's snake farms, danger is never far. It's managed, measured, and controlled. These aren't herd animals, they are solitary hunters, territorial by nature. That's why every facility follows a single, unbreakable rule. 1 snake, 1 enclosure. Each reptile lives in a brick or concrete chamber, closed tightly with wooden lids or steel mesh. The pens are deliberately dark and cool, mimicking the snake's natural habitat, and more importantly, keeping human contact to a minimum. Feeding time is the riskiest moment. Cobras are offered live frogs or small poultry. Pythons are fed freshly caught rodents. No farmer ever enters the enclosure. Instead, meals are slid in through narrow slots using long-handled tongs, an extra layer of protection against lightning-fast strikes. Workers suit up with bite-proof gloves, face shields, and iron hooks. For them, every feeding is a controlled operation, not a casual routine. But snakes don't just need food. Environmental balance is critical. Temperature and humidity are checked multiple times a day. Too hot and snakes grow restless, too cold and their metabolism slows dangerously. Floors are scrubbed to prevent bacteria. Fresh water bowls are replaced daily to reduce stress aggression. Even a small lapse in hygiene can trigger outbreaks of disease or sudden violent behavior. Breeding brings its own challenges. Males and females are paired only during specific windows, then separated immediately once the job is done. Keepers prepare nesting boxes for egg laying, carefully removing newborns to prevent cannibalism. Every detail is logged. Age, health, feeding history, venom yield. Government inspectors check these records regularly, making sure safety and welfare standards are upheld. The hidden lesson here is simple but sobering. Snake farming isn't about taming wild predators. It's about surviving alongside them, using discipline, science, and constant vigilance. One mistake, and the farm stops being a business. It becomes a death trap. And yet, the reward is extraordinary. Because inside these venom predator lies something more valuable than meat or skin: Venom, an extract worth more than gold and powerful enough to save lives. That's where our journey heads next. Part 2. Liquid gold, venom extraction, and the global pharma market. Venom. To most of us, it's a word that signals danger. But inside Indonesia's snake farms, it's called liquid gold, a resource more valuable than the meat or the skin. The process of extracting venom is one of the most delicate and dangerous tasks in modern farming. Handlers wear bite-proof gloves, face shields, and use stainless steel hooks to carefully secure the snake's head. The animal is guided to bite down on a thin membrane stretched over a sterile glass container. Drop by drop, the venom flows, just a few milliliters at a time. To put that in perspective, one healthy cobra may only yield 200, 300 milligrams per extraction. Yet that tiny amount can fetch hundreds of dollars. Why so valuable? Because snake venom is a chemical library. It contains enzymes and proteins with powerful biomedical potential. Anticoagulants from viper venom are used in blood-thinning drugs. Cobra toxins are studied for painkillers that rival morphine, but without the risk of addiction. And, most critically, antivenoms. The only life-saving treatment for snakebite victims cannot exist without venom. In rural Asia and Africa, where snakebites kill up to 100,000 people each year, this makes venom farming not just a business, but a public health necessity. But the balance is fragile. Over-extracting stresses the snakes, shortens their lifespan, and lowers venom quality. That's why reputable farms enforce rest periods, carefully track output, and ensure proper nutrition. It's a system where animal welfare and economic value are inseparable. Here lies the quiet lesson. What was once feared as poison becomes a bridge between survival and science. Snake venom isn't just deadly, it's life-saving, depending on how humans choose to use it. And while venom fuels medicine, the rest of the snake is far from wasted. From meat to luxury leather, the next chapter of this story shows how every part of this predator is turned into profit. Part 3. Meat and skin. From exotic protein to luxury fashion. When most people think of snakes, they imagine fear, danger, and venom. But in Indonesia's farms, once the venom is carefully extracted, the animal's value is far from over. Every part of the snake is transformed into a product. Meat for the table, and skin for the fashion world. Snake meat, long considered taboo, is now a rising protein source in Southeast Asia and beyond. In regulated facilities, skilled workers use sharp knives and traditional techniques to remove the head, organs, and bones with surgical precision. Extreme care is taken to avoid contamination from venom glands or bile. The result? Clean fillets, vacuum-sealed for local supermarkets or exported to global niche markets. With its high-protein, low-fat profile and rich minerals like iron and zinc, snake meat is marketed as a functional superfood. Dishes range from spicy stir-fry to rich stews, and in some regions, it's believed to boost vitality and joint health. In fact, snake meat now sells at a premium in health-focused restaurants, especially in cities like Jakarta and Singapore. But the real treasure lies in the skin. After careful removal, each hide is salted, cleaned, and tanned to preserve its natural patterns. Some are dyed into bold colors, while others are left in their original earthy tones. These skins travel thousands of miles to luxury fashion houses in Europe, the US, and Japan. There they become handbags, belts, wallets, and even watch straps. A single python skin handbag can sell for $3,000 to $4,000, far outstripping the value of the meat. This demand fuels an entire chain of jobs, from farmers to tanners, exporters, and artisans, supporting rural livelihoods while feeding the appetite of global luxury. Yet, beneath the glamour lies a question. Can farming wild predators for fashion be sustainable? Critics warn about animal welfare and the potential for illegal skins to slip into supply chains. To address this, reputable farms now use blockchain traceability and strict government inspections to prove that every hide is captive bred and ethically sourced. The lesson here is striking. What once symbolized fear becomes a symbol of prestige. Snakes, when managed responsibly, are not just predators, but economic engines linking rural Indonesia to Paris runways. And this transformation doesn't stop at fashion or cuisine. Because beyond profit and luxury, snake farming is reshaping entire communities. In the next chapter, we'll see how this unusual industry impacts rural economies, providing jobs, skills, and hope in unexpected places. Part 4. Ethics, Risks, and the Future of Snake Farming. Snake farming is more than just meat, venom, and leather. It's also a mirror reflecting some of the hardest questions in modern agriculture. At its core lies a paradox. Can you truly farm a wild, solitary predator? Supporters argue yes. Compared to illegal poaching, regulated farms offer a safer and more humane alternative. Snakes are housed individually, reducing stress and preventing deadly fights. Their venom and skins are harvested under strict hygiene controls, providing jobs and reducing the pressure on wild populations. For rural families, this industry has become a financial lifeline, but critics see the risks. Poorly managed farms could mean overcrowded pens, weak oversight, or shortcuts in safety. Escaped snakes might disrupt local ecosystems. And with luxury markets driving demand, there's always the danger of illegal wild-caught skins mixing into the supply chain. These concerns raise an uncomfortable question. Are profits overshadowing welfare and sustainability? Still, science and policy are moving the industry forward. Some Indonesian farms now use blockchain traceability to certify every hide, proving it was captive bred. Veterinary teams monitor venom extraction schedules to avoid overexploitation. And conservationists are studying whether large-scale farming could actually reduce hunting pressure on wild snake populations. The bigger lesson? Snake farming forces us to rethink what farming can mean. It blends danger with science, rural survival with global luxury, and ancient fear with modern opportunity. Whether you view it as sustainable innovation or an ethical gamble, one thing is clear. This industry is only growing. So, what do you think? Should wild predators like snakes become part of our food and fashion systems? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss another deep dive into the hidden world of farming.